In last class, I have taught you the few points regarding how the respiration will take place, what is the steps involved and all. So if it comes to here, as we have studied already, the respiration takes place in the presence of air as well as respiration also can take place in the absence of air. So always we have in the presence of air in the sense of what? Oxygen. So in the presence of oxygen, it will take place, as well as respiration can also take place. Absence of oxygen. So these are the two ways of how the respiration will take place. Means in the sense of, understand, the oxidation of food to obtain energy can occur in the presence of oxygen. The oxidation of food, understand, can be occurs in the presence of oxygen as well as absence of oxygen. So based upon this presence of oxygen or absence of oxygen, we have two types of respiration. One is, what is the first one? Aerobic respiration. What we should call?
Aerobic respiration and
Aerobic respiration.
aerobic respiration.
And the second one is called as
Anaerobic.
anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration. So these are the two types of respiration which we have. One is presence of oxygen, one is absence of oxygen. So let us start with the first one, presence of oxygen, which we used to call as aerobic respiration, and the absence of oxygen, which we used to call as anaerobic respiration. So let us go with the first one. All of you keep reading. Aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration. Good morning, all of you. Make a call to your friends if possible, if you have numbers. So start with the first one, aerobic respiration. As we already studied, what is the meaning of aerobic respiration, Ra? What is the meaning of aerobic respiration? Nobody is saying. What is the meaning of aerobic respiration?
The presence of oxygen.
Okay. So if we take here the respiration which uses oxygen, remember the respiration which will uses oxygen, is called aerobic respiration. So it is, understand, aerobic respiration, because if we take here, it uses the air which contains oxygen, that is the meaning of it. So if it comes to here, what is the meaning of aerobic? What is the meaning of aerobic? Means in the sense of, aerobic means with air, that is the meaning of aerobic. So whatever the respiration will take place with the help of air, means in the sense of air which contains oxygen. So that is only called as aerobic respiration. So in this aerobic respiration, what will happen in the sense of the glucose food, whatever it is digested, glucose food is completely broken down into, understanding, carbon dioxide, understanding, and water by oxidation process. Whatever the food we are eating, it will be digested and it will be transferred, understanding, absorbed and assimilated by the body cells. Now here, this food again, it will be completely broken down. The simple food called as glucose will be again completely broken down into, understanding, two substances as well as energy by oxidation process. So this aerobic respiration, if we'll take, it will produce a considerable amount of energy for use by the organism, which get stored in the form of, how the energy will store up?
ATP.
In the form of
ATP, sir.
molecules. And as well as we used to get byproducts in this. One is carbon dioxide and as well as water. So if we take here the breaking down of food or else the glucose during this aerobic respiration, understanding, aerobic respiration, suppose if we'll represent in the form of equation, can you able to say anybody? Aerobic respiration, what will happen? If we take one molecule of glucose, One molecule of glucose if you take, what will happen? Tell me. One molecule. I have taken one molecule. Tell me please. What will happen process? What is the process will happen? Glycolysis. Glycolysis will happen. Is it yes or no? Please tell me.
Yes, sir.
So where it will take place?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It will take place at where? Glycolysis will take place at where?
Cytoplasm.
Cytoplasm. Do you remember I have taught you? Yes or no? Glucose, one molecule of glucose, understanding. First, the process called as glycolysis will take place in cytoplasm. So glycolysis will give you what? Glycolysis will give you what, Arvind? Arun Karthikeyan? Glycolysis will give you what? 2 molecules of pyruvic acid. Do you forget it?
2 molecules of
That's what you
pyruvic
remember. So we used to get a pyruvate, or else we used to call it as. Also we used to call it as what? We used to call it as what? Pyruvic acid.
Pyruvic.
How many molecules will come? 2 molecules will come. Last class I did not you correct. That is what exactly I am asking. 2 molecules will come. So now this pyruvate acid, understanding this pyruvic acid in the presence of oxygen, what will happen? Oxygen where? In which part? Oxygen, which part? In mitochondria. Where?
Mitochondria.
Nobody is saying. Mitochondria, it will be gives as a product called as 6CO2. Tell me, 6CO2 plus 6H2O. Along with that, it will give you what? 38 ATPs will give.
ATP.
38. This is the balanced equation. That is also I am saying. 38. Understanding. ATPs will come in this one molecule of glucose will go for respiration reaction. Means in the sense of this aerobic respiration, we used to get 6 CO2 molecules, 6 H2O molecules, and 38, understanding, ATPs will come. So that is only we used to call it as what? Energy. Understanding, 38 energies will come. And if you remember here, whatever the process will take place here, means by adding oxygen in mitochondria and converting into the energy plus carbon dioxide and water, that process is called as, remember that name of that process is called as Krebs cycle. What we should call? KREB, Krebs. Understanding? Krebs cycle. CYCLE. Note it down, all of you. KREBS, Krebs cycle. Write it. So this is the equation, understanding the representation of aerobic respiration in any kind of animals. Those who are taking place with the help of oxygen. So what will happen first? One glucose molecule, first we separating into 2 molecules of pyruvic acid in the presence of where? In cytoplasm. So that process is called as glycolysis. So now this pyruvic acid, it is with the help of oxygen from air, understanding. So in mitochondria, it is converting into carbon dioxide, water plus ATP, stored energy, which will used by our body cells. So this process is called as Krebs cycle. So tell me, somebody is asking something.
Sir, the 6CO2 is a product, sir.
This is product, sir. 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus 38 ATP. Because of one molecule of glucose, we used to get this much amount of energy, as well as these are the extra things. So this carbon dioxide will be coming out. Understand? While we are exiting the gases outside, inhale and exhale. And water will be useful for us. Understand? That is. Note it down. This is the most important equation of aerobic respiration. All of you write first definition. Definition you write. The respiration, aerobic respiration. The respiration which uses oxygen. The respiration which uses oxygen is called aerobic respiration. Which uses oxygen is called aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration. So directly you write this equation. Under this you write this equation. That is why respiration is a chemical process, because it involves so many steps. But breathing is a physical process. Just understand, inhaling and exhaling of gases, sending inside and bringing outside. That's all. So that is why it is a physical process, and respiration is a chemical process. That is what we have studied. So that you people are not revising anything. That is what I can understand. So please complete this. Is it completed?
Yes, sir.
All of you. Two processes you should remember. One is forming pyruvic acid as well as later forming into energy. So formation of pyruvic acid will take place in where? Where it will take place?
Cytoplasm.
It will take place in cytoplasm.
Cytoplasm.
Understand? And as well as formation of energy in mitochondria. So this is the things you should remember it. Understand? So now, if you observe this process, understand? So as we know that this aerobic respiration will take place in the presence of what? In the presence of
Oxygen.
oxygen. So that is why it is called as aerobic respiration. Aerobic means, what is the meaning of aerobic? With air. Understand? So the aerobic means with air. That is the meaning of aerobic. Understand? So if you observe here, during this aerobic respiration, one molecule of glucose produces how much amount of energy? One molecule of glucose will take.
38 ATP.
One molecule of glucose it will take. How much amount of energy will come?
38.
38. Understanding? Energy rich or energy poor? ATP means energy rich. ADP means what? Energy poor. Means less energy molecules is called as ADP molecules. Rich energy molecules is called as ATP molecules. So we used to get 38 energy rich. Understanding? Energy rich ATP molecules will form. ATP molecules will form. So here, this name is only called as, understanding, what we should call formation of energy. That name is called as Krebs cycle. Understanding? So that is what we have written there. So now, all these organisms which obtain energy by aerobic respiration, understanding, cannot live without oxygen. That is what you should remember. Understand? So if whatever the organism, including you, understanding, because we are also doing the respiration process, understanding, aerobic respiration only. So we people cannot live without oxygen, because if there is no oxygen, what will happen, Ram? If there is no oxygen, what will happen? If there is no oxygen, what will happen? We cannot get. If there is no supply of oxygen, what will happen? There is no energy. Is it yes or no? So they cannot get energy from the food, which they, for example, you can see now, corona situation, so many people are dying because of not supplying proper energy, proper oxygen. Is it yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, because of they are unable to breathe the oxygen. The respiratory system is failed, so that they are unable to take the oxygen directly from the atmosphere. So what will happen? It will lead to the suffocation, so that finally it will lead to the death. So that is what, if whatever the organism depends on this aerobic respiration, it cannot live, understanding, without oxygen. If there is no oxygen, they cannot get energy from the food. Understanding? They cannot get energy from the food which they will eat. Which they will eat. That's all. So, if you observe here, understanding. So this is what the aerobic respiration. Now, if you observe in that equation carefully, we have a energy sites. Understanding means in the sense of they are the sites of aerobic respiration in the cells. What is the name called as? What? Where the energy process will begins and where it will energy will
Mitochondria.
mitochondria. So here one important bit you should remember: mitochondria are the sites of aerobic respiration in the cells. Understand? So mitochondria are the energy sites of the aerobic respiration in the cells. So whatever the breakdown of this pyruvate to give carbon dioxide, water, and as well as energy. Everything will take place in where? Everything will take place in
Mitochondria.
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 So that is what you should remember. Breakdown of glucose will take place in cytoplasm, and breakdown of this pyruvate acid, which is takes place in mitochondria. So that is why we can call this as understanding sites of aerobic respiration. Understand? So all of you note it down. Right? Mitochondria are the sites of aerobic respiration. Sites of aerobic respiration. Mitochondria are the sites of aerobic respiration. Jesse, you can call to Pranita and somebody, Dina, Arya is there. Just you can make a call to them. Let them join. So mitochondria are the sites of aerobic respiration. Mitochondria are the sites of aerobic respiration in the cells. Do you understand? So now, let us discuss what kind of animals it will be, who is carrying this respiration and all. We'll see here. So if we'll say, so the energy released during this aerobic respiration is only used by organisms. So if we take most of the living organisms carried out this aerobic respiration, understand, in our surroundings. For example, if we'll take, start with us only, humans. If we'll take dogs, cats, lions, elephants, cow, buffalo, goat, like that you can see lizards, birds, understanding, snakes, earthworms, frogs, everything, most of the living organisms, they will carry out this aerobic respiration only, including the grasshoppers, cockroach, houseflies, mosquitoes, ants, everything, this under aerobic respiration only. And most of the plants also, if you'll observe, plants also carried out this aerobic respiration by using oxygen of air. Understanding? They are not only releasing oxygen, that oxygen also will be utilized for the plants. Understanding? For the respiration process. That is what you may notice it. You people are not sleeping under the trees during night time, but when you are in a village, you may heard that our grandparents will say that don't sleep under the tree during night time. Do you notice it? Particularly tamarind tree, like the tree. Tamarind trees are those who are having a very, very small leaves and a big in count. Is it?
Because it will,
Yes.
it will absorb
It
oxygen.
will produce
During night,
carbon dioxide.
we people should not
During night time, it will produce
any kind
carbon
of
dioxide.
trees, because what will happen means daytime is okay, because daytime along with the respiration, understanding, photosynthesis also will be carried out by the green plants, so that in the sense of oxygen is released much compared to the absorption of oxygen by the plant, so that it will be good for us. But during night time, if we sleep under the trees, what will happen in the sense of there is no photosynthesis reaction will be carried out, only respiration will be carried out. So what will happen? A huge amount of carbon dioxide will be released by the plant, so it will lead to the suffocation. So that is why we should not, we won't get the proper oxygen.
Also, birds are living.
What?
Birds in night.
What?
House or birds are living in trees.
During night time.
Yes.
They are living in what? They are not living under the trees. They are living at the where? Understanding? On the branches of the trees, so that they will get the sufficient enough oxygen. Understanding? But we people are going under the trees. Understanding? So that it will be covered completely with the tree. That is why not all the trees, particularly you may see that the tamarind trees will grow like this. In a sense of it will be coming down and it will cover completely. Understand? Like that, where there is no proper supply of air, there if you sleep, it will lead to suffocation. Understand, Dilipan? Okay? So this is all about the aerobic respiration. So aerobic respiration means you should remember that complete equation. That's all. If you remember that equation, and two things you should remember. One is cytoplasm. Next one is what?
Mitochondria.
Mitochondria. That's all. So now, let us go for the second method. So what is the second type of respiration, Ra? What is the second type of respiration?
Anaerobic
Anaerobic respiration.
Respiration. Is it yes or no? So anaerobic respiration, all of you keep adding. Anaerobic respiration. So as we know that it is just opposite to the respiration. If we take the anaerobic respiration, understand? So the respiration which takes place without oxygen, which takes place without oxygen, which takes place without oxygen is called anaerobic respiration. So this anaerobic respiration, understand why we used to call it as anaerobic respiration means because it will take place without air which contains oxygen. Means in the sense of anaerobic. What is the meaning of anaerobic? Without air. What was it called? Without air is the meaning of anaerobic. Understand? So if we take here, this anaerobic respiration will be carried out by the microscopic organisms like yeast. Understand? Microscopic organisms like yeast and some bacteria. These organisms will carry out this process. So let us see how it will be takes place. Understand? So this process is only called as here. They will use this understanding without oxygen, without air, they will convert the glucose into the energy. So this process is only called as absence of oxygen, absence of oxygen. So this process also we can call it as fermentation. What we should call?
Fermentation.
Understand? So which we can use to prepare alcohols and all. Same way here. That method is called as, understand, which they are obtaining energy by anaerobic respiration. Also we can call it as fermentation. Understand? So if we take here, in this anaerobic respiration, we will use microorganisms like yeast, understand, and or else some kind of bacteria. So these fellows, they will break down the glucose. They will break down the glucose into a products called as, instead of carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide we used to get what? What is the products in this
Ethanol.
respiration? Our points I have taught up. You may see and you tell me. Let me see who will say first. We used to get the carbon dioxide as well as energy. Instead of water, we used to get some other thing. What is that? Can you able to say?
Ethanol, sir. Ethanol.
Who said that?
Me, sir. Pranav, sir.
Pranav, very good Pranav. Ethanol is the product. Understanding. That is what you should remember. So in this one, we used to get the ethanol, understanding, and carbon dioxide along with the energy will release. So this energy is then used by the microorganisms. Understand? So let us go with this anaerobic respiration, which will produce much very less energy. There, how much energy is coming, Ra? 1 ATP, how much energy is coming?
38.
38
38 ATP.
What?
38 ATP molecule.
Is it yes or no?
38 ATP.
But do you know that in anaerobic respiration, same one molecule will be start understanding by breaking down by this fermentation process. Only we used to get 2 ATPs. So do you understanding how much less energy is produced in this anaerobic respiration? That is why it is carried out even by very less organisms only. So now let us represent this one. So if we take now one molecule of glucose, first what will happen? Here also. Anaerobic respiration also, what will happen? Speak, you please, you have to tell me.
First break glucose.
So now glucose converting into what? Glucose, one molecule of glucose will be converting into what? First process, glycolysis. So glycolysis, what will happen? Where it will take place?
Cytoplasm.
Understand? In cytoplasm it will take place. So it will be converting into what? Converting into what?
Pyruvate.
Pyruvate. Understanding? So pyruvate
Pyruvic
is called pyruvic acid. So means in the sense of how many molecules? How many molecules?
2 molecules.
2 molecules. Now, so what is going to be in the absence of oxygen? In absence of oxygen. So in absence of oxygen, what I said, another name. Also we can call it as. It will take place in the process of yeast. Presence of yeast. So that is called as Fermentation.
Fermentation.
Fermentation process. That is what you should remember. So now fermentation it will do. What is the products we'll get? What is the products we'll get?
CO2,
Understanding?
CO2,
ethanol, CO2,
energy.
C2H5OH. Understanding means two molecules of ethanol will come. Understanding? Two molecules of ethanol as well as we used to get two molecules of carbon dioxide and
Carbon dioxide.
two molecules of
2 ATP molecules.
ATP will come. Energy rich ATPs will come. So this is what the anaerobic respiration chemical equation. So if you'll observe here, understanding during this anaerobic respiration, one molecule of glucose produces only how much? How much? Two energy rich ATP molecules. So only a few organisms like yeast plants and certain bacteria, which we used to call as anaerobic bacteria, can obtain energy from food in the absence of oxygen by the process of anaerobic respiration. Understand? But here if you remember, very less energy will release in this process compared to the aerobic respiration. Understand? So now, for example, what kind of yeast, sir? What kind of bacteria, sir? If you take here, understanding a single-celled non-green plant. Understanding a single-celled as well as non-green plant. What is that name called as? Non-green plant, which we used to call as yeast. Understanding? A single-celled non-green plant, yeast can live without oxygen because it is obtaining the energy by water, by the process called as anaerobic respiration. So without oxygen, it can survive. Without oxygen, it can survive. But here you remember, energy can be produced in cells even without oxygen. So that is why anaerobic respiration, understand, is not required any oxygen, and that organisms survive still without any kind of oxygen or air. So if you observe here, this process will be takes place. See, before aerobic respiration, the energy releasing takes place in mitochondria. But here, where it will take place? Where it will take place? It will take place. It will take place. Where the anaerobic respiration will take place? It will take place in the only. Where it will take place, Amma?
Cytoplasm.
So anaerobic respiration, whole process, remember, only don't think that, sir, here you have written that later how it will be, sir. Whole process of anaerobic respiration takes place in the cytoplasm of cell, that's all. So only single cell, understanding, these organisms only, this can carry out this one, this anaerobic respiration. All of you write this. All of you write. The respiration which takes place, Arvind, did you understand, Arvind?
Yes, sir.
The respiration which takes place without oxygen is called anaerobic respiration. Without oxygen is called anaerobic respiration. Write this equation, all of you. The equations, nobody should do any mistake. Understanding? Complete correctly you should write. Write this equation, all of you.
Satnur, she told to inform you that
So chapter 5, chemistry, carbonates compounds, ethanol formula, C2H5OH. Also we can call it as ethanoic acid. Everything is same. Ethanoic acid or ethanol, both are same. Remember that. Few times the same formula, they will give like this also, C2H6O. By this time also you should not get confused. That is ethanol only. Do you understand, Amma? C2H6O. Both are the same, ethanol or ethanoic acid. Because we have a knowledge in chemistry, so that I am saying. Understand? Ethanol also we can call it as ethanoic acid. Is it okay? Ask me, Ashika. You are asking me something.
No, sir. Padma, she told to inform you that since she has no current in her home, she couldn't attend the class, sir.
It's okay, no problem.
Because she do not have an internet.
Yeah, okay. Dina, Arya. Okay. Kevin, are you understand, Kevin, this one? Karthikeyan? Now, let us discuss here if you're understanding. So we need to discuss more in detail how this fermentation takes place. Understand? Because here this fermentation is most important. Understand? So if we'll take here, we can say, remember where this full process is taking place. Example also you should remember. Example is most important, right? Example. What is the example, Ra? Example, a single cell non-green plant called yeast. A single-celled non-green plant. Single-celled non-green plant. Single-celled non-green plant, which is known as yeast, is the example of anaerobic respiration. Okay, wow. And also one point you should write. Whole process of anaerobic respiration takes place in where? Takes place in? Where this process will take place?
Cytoplasm.
Cytoplasm. That is what you should note it down. That is all will come under MCQs. That is what I am saying. Because paragraph based questions like this only they will ask you down. All MCQs only. No need to there is no way of writing questions. All are choosing options. That is why you be very careful. Understand? Right. The whole process of anaerobic respiration takes place in the cytoplasm of cell. Cytoplasm of cells. Cytoplasm of cells. Now, let us discuss all of you. Listen first. Understand how this fermentation process will take place. Understand after this fermentation of sugars by using anaerobic respiration of yeast. We will see now. Understand. So, for example, if you want to do this, if you want to observe this, for example, take some sugar solution in our home. You can do this fermentation process in our home also. Like how it is taking place, which if you want to do, if you want to prove in the lab. Understand? So let us take some sugar solution or else any kind of fruit juice. If you take any kind of fruit juice, which contains what? Which contains glucose on. Is it yes or no, ma? So or else you can take any kind of sugar solution and just in a test tube and add a little yeast of it. If you just take a small test tube, or else if you have big one also you can take, you pour the what we should take here inside. We have to take the any kind of what we have to take? Any kind of sugar solution, or else you can take any fruit juice, and just add a small understanding, a little of yeast to it. Just add yeast. Yeast is available in market. Understand? So if you add this yeast, just leave it. Now close the mouth of the test tube with a cork and allow it to stand for some time. Understand? So air should not go inside. You have to cover with a cork or else some aluminum foil or something. So you have to close this mouth opening very, very tightly after adding the yeast. I have added the yeast and I have closed this one, and you just keep it for some time. Then you can see. Understand? You have to close it. There is no exchange of gases. Now, if you open the cork and you smell, you can see that the characteristics of this test tube with a cork are not allowed to stand it for some time. If you open that cork and if you smell it, understand? So if you used to get the ethanol smell, understanding, which is obtaining from the test tube. So that is what you can say that. Just you can leave it for certain time, like 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours like that. If you leave it for one day also, you used to get more alcohol smell. So just you can try. So many houses you people can use. Those who are having some kind of preparation of duff selling, means those who are selling the idli, what we can say that idli duff and dosa duff. For them, they used to having this yeast. Understanding? In their houses, they may have. Market also it is available. So if you want to test this, how this anaerobic respiration process is taking place. So you just, after after closing this mouth test tube, so you just leave it for some time, and later you come and open this cork, and as well as you try to smell it, we used to get the smell of alcohol. So what is that alcohol called as? What is that alcohol called as? Ethanol. Understand? So we used to get the ethanol. So this ethanol is only we used to call it as what? Ethyl alcohol. Understanding? Or ethanoic acid. Everything is same. Understand? So ethyl alcohol, which is obtained from the test tube. So here also you can see that a gas also evolved during this process. What is that gas now? You can also observe that a gas is also coming outside. What is that gas?
Carbon dioxide.
Understand? Carbon dioxide. Now, how to test, sir? How we can test the carbon dioxide? We have one process. If you have understand the chapter 1 chemistry chapter 1, chemical reactions and equations. There, if you pass the carbon dioxide into something, it will turn into some color. Can you able to remember that and say anybody? Let me see who is remembering. Carbon dioxide gas, if it passes through something, it will turns into some substance, turns into some a thick, a white, milky. Can you say? Have you remembered that? How we can test this carbon dioxide is evolving in this reaction? So if you pass that gas, please remember and tell me. If you pass that
Lime water.
the gas, yes, somebody is saying if you pass through what?
Lime water, it will form a white precipitate.
This gas, Kevin is saying, and another girl, who is that? Jessie.
Jessie.
So if you pass this CO2 gas, we don't know it is CO2 or not. If you pass this gas, understanding, through lime water, so that what will happen? This lime water will turn into what? Will turn
White
into
precipitate.
milky. Do you understand? Remember, turns into milky. So that if it is turns into milky, so means in the sense of what? It shows that carbon dioxide gas is evolving in this reaction. Understand? So these experiments will tell us that the products of fermentation of sugar brought about by yeast are ethanol, understanding, and as well as carbon dioxide, and also energy will be formed. That is how much energy?